Well, first of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Nathan back with another video presentation. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all staying safe, having a great weekend so far. This is episode number 22 of Big Nate Sports Talk. Before I get into it, there's I'd like to say up front. Episode 20, that's actually really episode 22. This is actually episode 23, excuse me. With the trade deadline for the Orioles and the Nationals breakdown, that episode should already have gone up by now. In this episode, I am giving my thoughts on the whole Deshaun Watson fiasco, which has taken place. Then you're going to see the recap of the Hall of Fame game, the Washington Mystics versus the Chicago Sky. I'm going to recap that game after I recap the Los Angeles Sparks game. So they're going to be two games in one. With that, let's just get into the video. So it's no secret. Deshaun Watson was suspended by a ruling by a judge by the name of Ms. Sue Robinson. Suspended for 6 games. I thought the suspension, when I read the report, there's a couple things that stood out to me that I felt that was very, very interesting. Point number one, if you look at it from this perspective, the NFL actually did win a case against Deshaun Watson. He did violate the CBA, the league's personal conduct policy. 1, engaging in sexual assault. 2, engaging in conduct that does pose a danger to others and the safety and well-being of somebody else. And then number 3, he undermined the integrity of the league. So he was in violation of what those 3 things and the personal conduct policy of the CBA. He did violate those things. Now, what was interesting is that according to and I've read it verbatim in the CBA, that the decision of a joint appointed discipline officer, which was Judge Robinson, to show if actually there was a violation or a personal conduct policy that did occur. I can't remember the word they use. It's binding or something like that, if I remember saying that correctly. Meaning in other words, saying that if she found no violation, the league can't appeal it. Now, the league actually did appeal the 6 games, with obviously Roger Goodell being at the helm of it. Now, reading the CBA again, is that any appeal from the Players Association or the league, it has to be in writing within 3 business days of the disciplinary officer's decision. So they have 3 days to appeal after Judge Robinson's ruling. And it has to be on the arguments of why with evidence to show you're appealing it, the discipline, and if you want to change or not. Now, because it was a neutral arbitration, Roger Goodell still has the final say so. But again, if you read the CBA, ladies and gentlemen, like it clearly states you must have credible evidence, which is Judge Robinson, who was a retired federal judge. Now, Roger Goodell is one of those that he wants to hear from his own people and have his own discipline hearing without. He's one of those keep it behind closed doors, not make it public. I mean, just look at how he dealt. Look how he's dealt with the Washington Commander situation. I thought it was also interesting. Judge Robinson was not involved in all 24 of the lawsuits that were filed against Deshaun Watson. Now, the NFL filed interviews with 12 of the 24 women that accused him, they accused Deshaun Watson of sexual assault and so forth. Now, 12 of those 24 women, pretty much all 24 of them, did sue Deshaun for damages in civil court and relied something about relying on the testimonies of the four therapists, and then it's like 37 interviews with third parties. Now, the NFL doesn't have the power to interview all 12. If the NFL subpoenaed all 24, they don't have that type of power to do that. And they just went with the 12. So, yes. Now, she did find him guilty of violating the personal conduct policy according to the CBA, because she pointed it out like this: in a report, he solicited, the massage their sessions by the size of a towel he would wear, covering himself up, contacting me with therapists. Like, according to the report, she found 4 of the women that were questioned to have circumstantial evidence and also saying that they refused to work for him as a client. That was credible testimony to her. Now, if you read the report, which I think if you read the report, which I think there were some key things. Deshaun Watson, he knew what he did was wrong based on the evidence, based on making the arrangements. But she found him guilty of violating the policy. But there's also, too, does not negate the Houston Texans, because the Houston Texans, they were arranging these things to have to sign non-disclosure forms. Now, I thought it was kind of weird that what Deshaun Watson did, it falls under Bountygate and Deflategate, which I think are 2 totally different things, agreed situations. I mean, we're talking about if most likely, which let's just keep it what it is, using deflated balls, which we all know happened in that AFC Championship game, and then the this past season for the New Orleans Saints. I don't really see how you can compare those 2 situations to this. Um, oh, my thing is him reaching out to multiple therapists like that, and that's contract detrimental to the team in a sense. Now, if you look at it, the NFL, which I'm hoping that they're, well, I'm hoping that I'm really hoping that they're taking this serious, because if the NFL could actually, honestly and truthfully, suspend him for the entire year, because they did propose suspending him in the postseason, but and also too he would not come back once he did certain things to come back. Whether I think it was like, for example, he could not be reinstated once if he didn't meet certain conditions of his suspension. Uh, and it was according in page 11 of the report. She said that reviewing that proposal for consistency of treatment, uniformity of standards for parties similarly situated, and the patient unfairness and selective. Uh, Now, the NFL did not give him a 6-game suspension. That did not happen. This happened um, on the hearing, and this is basically the 6 games comes from, and you look at the last, I'll say 5 pages of that report. She explained that, and I quote, "Although I have found Mr. Watson to violate the policy, I have done so using the NFL's post hoc definitions of prohibited conduct user issue. Defining prohibited conduct plays a crucial role in the rule of law, enabling people to predict consequences of their behavior." Pretty much she's saying is like he violated the policy, but I think this is what he should get. And I kind of disagree with that, because if you've got, I believe now it's what, 66 women that have accused him, and they're all settled. If I'm not mistaken, this is something he's done, and he has to take shape for that. He has to take responsibility and accountability for that. But also too, the fact that he's now the highest paid quarterback in the midst of this, that bothers me. And remember, back in 2014, if you remember, Mr. Ray Rice, when he was at the time he played for the Baltimore Ravens. We all know that we all seen the video, him and his wife in that elevator, and he hit her. Uncalled for. Now, Ray Rice was suspended for 2 games. And I remember that everybody was like, whoa, wait a minute. He only gets 2 games for that? No. But see, here's also too this is the part that some people are not going to like. There's no see, everything today we all see is through video. With this situation, there's no concrete evidence to really show he did these things. We're going off by testimonies. And unfortunately, I hate that. If there was videos of what Deshaun did, without a shadow of doubt, in my opinion, he should be banned from the league. Now, she also did state that that in the policy change, though, it was, to me, when he was suspended for 2 games, they changed it because of the public outrage, which the public should have been outraged to see his wife get hit like that. Totally was uncalled for. Now, at least she said, and I quote, "give fair notice to its players and to the public of probable consequences of certain violent conduct." And she said that quite a bit in her report. Now, in the Ray Rice policy too, and I quote, for violating criminal assault or battery, felon, domestic violence, dating violence, child abuse, or other forms of violence or sexual assault involving physical force or committed against someone incapable of giving consent. Quote, that was in page 13 of her report. And she does say that it's undisputed that Mr. Watson's conduct does not fall into the category violent conduct, which requires six game suspension. Um, and also, too, she also used she brought up a couple other examples in her report. If you remember the Jameis Winston situation back in 2018 when he was suspended for 3 games, if I remember correctly, because he violated personal conduct. She's not starting. I want to make this also clear. She, in her ruling, she's not saying it needs to start 6 games. That's not the baseline. It's because Deshaun Watson did not meet the policy requirements for a 6-game suspension because it's the personal conduct policy. It's the way the CBA is written, and I think that's what I think is driving me crazy. I think that what she's basically saying in her report is but like with the Ray Rice situation, like if we all want to know what happened to Ray Rice and adjust its policy for what he did, then we should know with Deshaun Watson. That's what she's basically saying. And I quote, it's inherently unfair to identify conduct as prohibited only after the conduct has been committed, just as inherently to unjust the penalties for such conduct after the fact. And again, she made it clear that 6 games was not her baseline. She actually wanted to suspend them for 1 or 3 games or less, but because of the factors that she took in consideration. Now, if you ask me, I think she handled the case okay, because it's also interesting too because the fact that she did actually appear. She used other cases to determine his suspension. I think it was like somewhere in page 15, if I remember that correctly. And then she also stated that his massage therapist must be coordinated by the Cleveland Browns as long as he's in the league. So that means if he uses somebody outside of what the team has offered him, the league has the right to suspend him. Now, me personally, this is how I feel. The fact that 66 have come out and have said these things towards Deshaun Watson, and the fact that as a league, you are not you have to take this serious. Like the fact that the Cleveland Browns paid him an exorbitant amount of money in the midst of all this, and then you appeal it. Because when I look at this, I look at Ezekiel Elliott's suspension. For example, he got the first 7 games of 2017 season. Tom Brady, he got suspended for 4 games. He sat out in 2016 season. Like the Players Association, which they feel like there should be no suspension at all. Basically, what they're trying to say is there's no evidence. Judge Robinson did not find a definition of what sexual assault is. And like, the NFL did not do a good job of investigating and also having the evidence that he engaged in sexual assault, especially in the report. Um, but his camp has maintained he didn't use force or anything like that. He didn't engage in sexual assault. So basically, it's a he said what she said. But again, I think also too, I don't feel like we should just go off of this. Well, there's no video, so I can't take you at your word. I think that's ridiculous. I don't like that. When you have this amount of women that come out and say something's wrong with that. What I mean by that is that means either he's doing something to the point where we got to sit him down and check him, or he sit down and check him, because this is behavior that really shouldn't even be really tolerated in the NFL. I don't think 10 games. Like, I think, who was it? I want to say it was Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy got 10 games, but it was reduced to 4. Um, Even though he, according to personal conduct policy in the CBA, he did violate it. But I'm just not comfortable with the fact that he should already have been suspended from the jump. If you look at his contract this year, I think he's making $1 million, and the rest he's getting it. Me personally, I would have suspended him for the year. That's how I would do it if I'm commissioner. He's suspended for the year. He's actually suspended him. He's suspended for this year, next year. To come back into the NFL, because I think to have that amount of women accuse you of sexual assault, and but I do know one thing, that that's going to have to be a conversation. Um, Now the Players Association, they're willing to say we'll give him 6 to 8 games. The NFL is not going to budge on that. It's no less than 12 from what I read, and I think it's along the lines of an $8 to $10 million fine. Now, um, he should. The NFL has made it clear that he should forfeit. I think it was like almost $60,000 per game on the $1 million base salary he has for this year. Now, it's interesting. They lowered the base and gave him a $45 million signing bonus to clear cap space for this season, because it's actually part of his guaranteed $230 million contract. So, um, I don't like it. Um, I think it's really disgusting, um, that most likely this could potentially end up in federal court. I can see it, because I think a lot of people are going to go back to the personal conduct policy. It's all in the CBA. Um, what Deshaun Watson did, unfortunately, he knew what he did was wrong. But again, we live in this society of there's 3 sides to the story. There's Deshaun Watson's truth, the there, and then the truth, and then there's the truth down the middle. But The NFL needs to handle this. They do. And I just think it's weird, that Calvin Ridley is suspended for a whole year. You've got players that are either PEDs or they are taking other things such as marijuana, other things like that, and they're suspended for multiple games. I think Martavis Bryant, for example, I think was banned or he was suspended indefinitely, if I remember correctly. Here's somebody like Deshaun Watson, Greg Hardy, and others. They got 4 to 6 games. I just think that's crazy. I do, because you got to hold people accountable. When what are they as a league? Oh, because I mean, unfortunately, play like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, things like this have to be talked about. So I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. My internet went out on me for a second. So I mean, that's really the end of the video. I just want to get my thoughts on that. I think he should be suspended for the whole year without pay, and I think he'd have to sacrifice. And I believe he should sacrifice some of that to that what he's going to get next year too. I think he does have to go through some. In my personal opinion, he have to go through some certain requirements to kind of can get back in the league. That's just me. If I had it my way, I'd ban him. He should be suspended for 2 years. That's just me. Y'all let me know your thoughts on the situation, how you feel about it. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Be tuned in for future episodes. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Closing message. To hold people accountable. Accountability. That matters. We can sit here and act like, oh, it's a part of life. Let's move on. No, that's not how this works. You got to hold people accountable and understand that in time, God don't like ugly. It will be addressed, whether people want to accept that or not. But I just want to conclude the video. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace. Stay up.
But I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. Thanks for the kind words. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to see more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bring your sports game on Big Nate Sports Talk.